Good morning. Today is Monday. It is the 5th day of Tammuz, and we continue in the chapter 10 of Shaar, Yichud, vEmuna. And we continue to what we explained yesterday to give a little bit of an understanding of what it means, how Hashem is united and one with his spheres, with the attributes. We spoke about the last chapter that the Rebbe said that when the Zohar calls the understanding of the attributes of Hashem, he calls it the Roze de vEmuna, the secrets of the faith. You know, we have the mitzvah to in believing in Hashem. We all believe in God. We have the mitzvah also to know God. It's important things to understand, to know. What does it mean to know God? Obviously, nobody can know God. But what is incumbent upon us is to know, to understand, to study what we're studying here. To understand the way Hashem brought down the creation as much as humanly possible. Because the more you understand how our connection with Hashem, the more you understand in the Ishtalshlus, the spiritual descent from God to create this world, the greater your connection and your feeling to Hashem. And the faith begins where the understanding ends. You get to a certain point, it says, until here I can understand. Above this, it's beyond. And the question is, where's your top? How far do you reach? You can have faith, believe, of a simple child. And then you can have faith that is much, much deeper, much higher. And this is what we're studying, the Shaar, Yichud, vEmuna, and Tanya, and Chassidus in general. It is about taking also the words of what it explains in Kabbalah, about the spheres, about the attributes. In the Kabbalah uses many times physical examples. And to understand that this is not physical shape when we're doing this, ascribing to Hashem. So here the Alter Rebbe explained that yes, to understand the spheres is something that we should try to understand, but ultimately it is the secret of faith. What is the secret of faith? Where do we need the faith is to understand that the spheres are one with Hashem. The attributes of Hashem is one with God himself. And that's beyond our understanding, but he says we can somehow have somewhat of an understanding using an example of light, the light of the sun. So the light of the sun, the light when it's outside of the sun, you can call it light. But let's take a journey into the sun itself, and we will see the light in the sun. Is the light there called light? No, it's the sun itself. So the light in the sun, within the sun, is completely unified with the sun. It's one and only. So the same thing as Alter Rebbe explains, that this is the sphere that Hashem, God, emanated the spheres, his attributes, the attributes of kindness, the attributes of judgment, the restrictions. Those are all godly revelations to us, and becomes in shapes of attributes. This is kindness, and this is judgment. But in essence, in the source, it's one with Hashem himself. So let's continue with the Alter Rebbe explains in today's lesson. It's not a long lesson. It says the Alter Rebbe Mikol Makom, nevertheless, despite the superior manner of unity, since we must modulate for the ear so our ear can understand this, what it is able to hear. We can perceive and comprehend that, just as in the analogy, the light of the sun, which is united, this is united with and nullified in its source, and no name of its own, and it has no name of its own, meaning the light is not called light when it's in the source, but when it's in the sun itself. Only the name of its source. So the Alter Rebbe says here, Nishma v'nizboinen. This is something we need to hear, and we need to focus, we need to comprehend and understand and meditate on this thing, because that's what we need to do, to understand this as much as humanly possible. So to all the attributes of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His will and wisdom, are not designated and called by these names at all, relative to Him. So the attributes of Hashem, the kindness, and the judgment, and all the beauty, and all of the attributes that we have, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, and so on, they are only from our perspective. In other words, what we gain, what we receive from Hashem, we receive the kindness, we receive this, meaning not only us in this physical world, but all the created beings, even the spiritual ones. Says Alter Rebbe Elo legabe anivroim elyonim v'tachtonim, not only in relation to the creatures which are below the world of Atzilus, in the world of Bariya, Yetzira, and Asiya, these creatures being both higher and lower, Shavayasam v'chayusam v'anagasam, Shakadosh Baruch Hu mehave mechayu esam manigam, which are brought into existence and given life and guided in their conduct by the Holy One, blessed be He. So Hashem guides and lives and sustains us, sustain all of the creatures who birtzoinoi v'chachmosoi b'nosoi v'daitoi amislapshois b'midaisei v'akdoishois. This is through His will and wisdom and understanding and knowledge, which garb themselves in His holy emotive attributes, such as Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes. Therefore, the spheres are termed Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, and so forth, in relation to the beings which are created and vivified by God through His will and wisdom and so forth, which clothe themselves in the emotive attributes. So Hashem's wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is clothed in the attributes, in the emotive attributes. This is the analogy what we always use, also by the way the human condition. You have the intellect, and the intellect affects the emotions, and brings the emotions. So the same thing is also in the spiritual levels. As it is written in the Medrash, which goes back not just in the sources of the Hasidus, it's in the Medrash. But it says in the Medrash that by means of 10 things was the world created, by wisdom, understanding, and by knowledge. The Chsiv, and it brings a verse, as it says in the Proverbs, Hashem bechachma yosad eretz, koinen b'shamayim bitvuna, b'daita to'imis nivku v'gema. God founded the earth with wisdom. He established the heavens with understanding, and with his knowledge, the depth of the abyss were burst open. So again, we see the wisdom, understanding, knowledge in this verse that tells us about how Hashem brought this world to being, using those attributes. So we does see from the Medrash that the world was created by means of 10 things, meaning the 10 spheres, the 10 attributes. And this is also says in the Zohar that we say every Friday before Shabbos. Some people say it every day. And as expressed by Elijah, what it says in the Zohar, the apikas asa tikrunin v'karinan lehoin asa sfiron. In the passage that opens the Potach Eliyahu, yes, and forms a part of the introduction to the Tikkunin Zohar, it says, you have brought forth 10 tikkunim, 10 garments, and we call them 10 sephiros, 10 attributes. Le'anhoga be'oin olmin sesimin, the lois galyan, the olmin this galyan, through which to direct hidden worlds, the unrevealed worlds, meaning the spiritual world that are transcend mortal comprehension, and worlds revealed, meaning the world that are accessible to mortal comprehension. And through them you conceal yourself, meaning Hashem conceals himself in the attributes. The attributes are concealment of the very essence of Hashem for us, not from his perspective, only from our perspective. He conceals himself from created beings so that they will not be able to perceive the divine life force that created and vivified them. Why not? Because if he wouldn't be concealed, we wouldn't be here. He would be completely nullified in the light of Hashem, just like the light of the sun in the sun itself would not be itself own existence. So what we say here is that the attributes of Hashem is one with Hashem. From our perspective, Hashem conceals himself and uses these attributes so that we can come into separate beings. So this is the end of today's share. And again, the more we'll study, the more we connect to this, the more we will be able to raise the level of our faith. Wishing you all a good day. We'll see you, God willing, tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem.